Ready? You recording?
Yeah, I've been recording for ages.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Coming for you.
Hello, and should I do it in the Welsh way?
No.
Hello.
Alright, but.
Hello, and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch.
And I'm Logan.
Again.
No.
Oh, is it again? This
Like a
might.
bad smell.
We don't
Well,
know
it
if this
might
is
be.
the first
It
or
might
the
be
second
first,
one.
or it might be again.
Could be.
And
Mike Collins, surf coach, strength and conditioning coach, and part-time surf manager at Escape Motorsports.
And this is a pretty amazing setup we've got in here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us film in here. I should probably point out, I just realised it'll be the second reference to the other guys this week, but you're obviously Mike. Does that make us the boys? It's Mike and the boys.
Mike in the morning.
Must be. We will have sex in your car. It's called a soup kitchen. There's a way to start.
there's a way to start, isn't there? So, yeah, like a bit about you. How did you get into surfing? When did you start? When did you get addicted to the crackhead of the sea?
Yeah. So for me, like I was 13 getting into surfing. Still live in my stake, so Valley boy through and through. Used to catch a bus over to Aberafan. I had this like 6'6". I couldn't even surf it now, let alone back then. Stupid little shortboard, catch a bus over. Didn't know if there was going to be surf. Mother would pick me up at 8 o'clock, so I'd paddle around, float around for a couple of hours. Sometimes if there was no surf. If there was surf, I'd try my best to surf a step. But what I know now is a step-up board. And yeah, to kind of limited success. And then it's kind of rugby took over. Basketball first, so I had a scholarship to Swansea College, did sports coach and exercise science there as a basketball scholarship. And then rugby from like 17, 18, quite
I was
seriously.
going to say, because you're about 19 foot tall.
Well, I was going to say, because you said 6'6" shortboard, and other people are going, that's not a shortboard. We're going to say,
Yeah.
you are 6'6", aren't you?
Yeah.
You are the same length as my mid-length.
Yeah.
The exact same
Yeah.
length. Which obviously
Yeah.
makes basketball make sense. You think in basketball
Yeah.
it's an unfair advantage just being tall, and maybe you don't even have to be that good at the sport.
Look at Shaquille O'Neal, yes.
Yeah. Because like, I feel like it'd be the same sort of thing in darts. If you, I don't know what the distance is from the hockey to the, if your
Yeah,
arm
yeah.
was 9 foot and you could just place the dart
Yeah.
in to 20, it'd feel a bit unfair.
Yeah.
There should be a height limit in basketball, I think.
Yeah.
What? Why are you looking at me like that?
I was just thinking, I was just going to go off on a tangent about like there'll be short people out there now going, well, that's unfair, and kicking off about short people basketball or something like that.
That's his own thing.
I know. But then again, this is a surf show, not a basketball show.
Yeah, we'll do that on the other one,
Yeah.
the UK basketball show, also with Logan and Mike, Mike and the boys. So surfing, you surfed round here or roughly round here.
Yeah.
Was it an easy? Were you tall as a kid as well?
Yeah.
So did you find that made it harder for you, or did it?
I
give
was
you an
told it
advantage?
did.
Yeah.
But it might sound weird, but I've never seen myself as tall.
Yeah.
It sounds odd, but like I
Just
just
look
think
down on everyone.
you can until I'm in an airport waiting for somebody to come out of the arrivals lounge and I'm looking over everybody. That's when I realise I'm like, oh, I'm quite tall actually. But it's literally that, and I think it's like part of my mentality is if I'm told something, I go opposite. So I'm told still to this day, like you're a bit tall to be a surfer. I'm like, I'm going to be a surfer. I'm going to be half decent one as well.
Hence all the
And
sports
it's like,
you've done.
yeah, like I sort of, when I finished playing rugby, I lost nearly 20 kilos and did an athletic physique comp just because I could. Because I was always told, oh, you're a rugby player, you'll never be in that sort of shape. I did get in that shape. So it's like, I got this mentality that and it might sound cocky, but for me, it's a drive. It's like, I'll prove you wrong. But proving myself right more than proving other people wrong.
I think that's a great motivator. People saying you can't, you won't, you'll never. Like, what a great motivator. Just to, even if it's not for your own sanity, just to shut them up. Like, fuck you, I've done it.
And I don't even have to tell them. Like, it's not like I'm going to them, oh, see, I did it. But it's like in my head, I'm like, no, there's no limitation. Obviously, there's limitations in life.
Yeah.
That's why we have adaptive surfing, etc., etc. But in mindset, I think there's, you can push and push and push and push.
Yeah.
And it's surprising where you can get then once you start putting those things in.
And was surfing always there? Was that always the ongoing, or did you kind of step away from surfing when you got into rugby and basketball?
Yeah, it was always there. Like
Yeah.
we'd always go out on mini miles back then,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on foamies and stuff. As a group of rugby players as well, we'd have days where we'd go to the beach or whatever. But not that. It took over competitively in my, not as a competitive surfer, but as a coach and as somebody who wanted to progress
Yeah.
myself, but also help other people progress. When I was sort of 27, 28 when I finished rugby, so the last
Okay.
10 years really started building towards that kind of being that surf
Mhm.
coach that people could go to and get like a good
Yeah.
session.
And it's
from.
not just surf coaching, is it? You do the psychological side as well, is that right? About counselling sort of
Yeah,
stuff?
so I trained down in the Iron Mill in Exeter for 3 years, and unfortunately due to COVID I didn't finish my hours, so I did all the courses, did all the academic side
Yeah.
of it, and then you have to do like 150 hours of service
Mhm.
one-to-one with adults, and I did 100 odd hours, and then COVID hit and wanted to go online. I was like, I didn't feel right, kind of. I was new to it anyway. I want, like we are here now, I can read your expression, I can read yours, you can read mine. Not in that way.
I was going to say, because when you said psychology, I was like, Mitch, you're fucked then.
Don't even start over here.
Yeah, but it wasn't for me going online. But what I learned in those 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
going through my own therapy as well, because you
Yeah.
had to, and I was put my hands up like, I don't need 40 hours of therapy, but you have to become a counsellor.
Okay.
Like the most mind-blowing 40 hours I've ever spent with somebody in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realise until I got in that room and they start asking probing questions, and then you're like, that's why I do that, that's why I've got that drive, that's why I've got this insecurity.
Okay.
And that helped me manage myself around other people, but also see how to learn how to manage other people in a positive way. So I
Yeah.
think that's definitely helped with the coaching side of things from an athlete perspective. And
Do you find going into that, the psychology thing, especially when you were learning it, that did you go in there with almost a negative, people can't read me, I can't even read me sort of approach, and then suddenly you're like, actually this makes sense?
Yeah, I think if I'm totally honest, it was a valley tough guy mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I can help other people, but I don't need to be helped.
Yeah. See, I think
There's
the
that.
way I describe it, I think everyone should have therapy, see a therapist.
For sure, right? Yeah.
The way I see it is when I've been, it's like I've got a load of files all over the floor and they help you put them in line and you pick them up and you go, oh, right, they fucking go there. That makes sense. So you go, that's why I do that. That's why I do that. And that all like lines up and makes sense.
And then the
And
wind
it's-
comes.
And then the wind comes and blows them all fucking everywhere. And
Yeah.
you start again.
Scattering
Don't
around.
even need that one.
I really like that analogy. Though.
Yeah,
It's
it's
class.
like it is
Yeah.
like a filing cabinet, I think, and you sort of put things and you're like, oh right, well my dad used to say that, and that's made me feel like that, so that's why I act like that, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh right. And
I want to
then-
probe one deeper on that. What did you actually
Yeah.
learn while you were doing them 40 hours about yourself?
Yeah, that's a really good question and really potent for me. So, so my relationship with males was, so my dad and mum divorced when I was younger. Still got a really good relationship with my dad, love him to bits, but didn't see him very often
Yeah.
through various reasons and whatever. So what I found was when I had like negative feedback from a male coach that
Yeah.
was put in the wrong way, like devastating. Like
Mhm.
just wouldn't go training, or be real upset and just angry, like. And then I realized that I was like, I'm chasing like this time, like, trying to prove to this male that I can,
Yeah.
I'm worth something or whatever. And not that my dad ever thought I'm not worth anything, because I know like he
Mhm.
appreciates who I am, what I do, and loves me to bits. But it just comes from, like, everybody has things when they grow up where their parents try and give them everything that they can at that time,
Yeah.
but you're always left with things that you have to work on as an adult.
Mhm.
No matter how good your parents are, no matter if like the best people in the world and they've got the best intentions in the
well,
world.
they can only do what they've
Well,
got
exactly.
and what tools they've got at the time. If
Yeah.
I look at what you were saying then, looking back from when I was younger, that I know the way my dad and his brother were brought up, that his father, so my granddad, was like had like manic depression and stuff like that. Well, it's different names now. I think it would be classed as bipolar now, but
Yeah.
he was all over the place, and they by all means of what I know, they had quite a hard upbringing. So when I look at what my childhood was like from that side, I'm like, oh, you can sort of understand. When I think the thing about counselling, the thing about therapy, is that you start to, instead of feeling like it was your fault, you start to understand why that happened which eases the burden of it feeling like everything was your fault.
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, for sure. Like, because you're looking for answers before you go into the therapy setting. You're looking for answers that you don't understand.
Yeah.
You can't get to yourself. You need somebody else to just probe you, you know, into the those directions. So, like that mindset for me, and then ego states was a big thing for me. So like the adult, parent, child, kind of learning about that, and learning that actually is a choice where the way you can react, the way you can read situations, the way that other people are reacting, and then you don't know. So it makes you sound like some sort of again mystical creature, but you understand.
As tall as Gandalf.
But they might be coming from a place that's been triggered, and that understanding that, then stepping back and go, right, I've triggered something here now. Maybe in an athlete or something, you know, when you're giving feedback or a group lesson or whatever it might be. Understanding that allows you to have empathy for that person, allows you to change your approach slightly to get the best out of that person. So that's where it's been super valuable. Yeah,
and that's such an important point, actually, because there's a lot of good coaches out there in all walks of life, in all sports. Doesn't have to be sports, anything technical, anything that gets taught. But there's a difference between being a good coach and being able to understand your audience and your individual needs of that audience. People that can read people really well tend to be better, I think, coaches, because there's no one true approach, is there? Like, you know, any athletes you work with will have a different requirement. Some people, like Logan, I'm sure, like, soaks up and absorbs feedback pretty well. There'll be other people that you maybe can't be as direct with. So I can see how helpful that would be.
Yeah, and then also, like, I'm guessing you do 40 hours with a therapist, they're listening to you, and then you've done your 100 hours, you're listening to other people, aren't you? And you didn't coach before. You didn't coach before that.
Just in rugby.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Rugby. So, what did that therapy, being a counsellor, did that help with your coaching? I'm guessing it did. I'm guessing it helped with your coaching. And what did it help with? How have you taken that into your coaching?
It helped me step back. So it helped me to step back and critically analyse the way that I was approaching situations. So instead of just having this one approach, like, where, you know, you get irate if something didn't go well or whatever, and then you pass that on to your team or whatever it may be. You know, I had outbursts when I was coaching in rugby in the half time, and don't get me wrong, it sometimes triggered that response you wanted. When I look back on it, I'm a little bit ashamed. Like, did I really act like that? Like, why am I getting so angry and aggressive towards a team that I'm coaching? Like, what's happening here? You know?
Doing a cutback.
Like, so I'd be like that. You fucking do it then.
So yeah, that's what it teaches you, and that comes with maturity as well in life, I think, if you're willing to.
Do you find that the psychology side of it then also helps with? So say I'm going to take Logan because he's here. Say he's going into competitions, and he's used to surfing like sloppier waves, so he's always pumping, and then when he's in a nice wave competition, he's still like trying to pump into the waves, which is losing in points. Which I'm just guessing something like that would happen. Not that we've had a
well done, Pete. I know what's happening here. We literally this exact.
Like, could the psychology side help you get into his head basically and be like, right, this is why you know, obviously we know why he's doing it because it's what he's used to all the time, but to stop doing it.
I think with Logan, I don't know, like you jump in on this, but because we've grown to be quite good friends as well over like the last 5 years. We've known each other, so we know each other pretty well. Like when we're on the way to surf, like when we go to fresh, we have pretty valuable and sometimes deep conversations about. If we listen to a podcast, we'll pause it and like go off on a tangent and talk about stuff.
Obviously not this podcast. No one pauses this podcast because it never gets started.
This one just goes straight through at 2 times speed. Like, that shit's out of the way.
So I think credit to his mentality, especially as a young man as he is. I forget sometimes he's still only 24.
Yeah.
You know, it's like talking to someone who's 38, the same age as me. I know I look like 45 with no hair. But so I don't think it plays into our relationship too much because he's quite mature in the way he approaches situations, but probably does in the way that, like, if I approached him in the way that I coached rugby 10 years ago, I know that he would not respond to that sort of criticism. Because he likes feedback, but he likes it in a certain way. I don't know, you jump.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like we are quite similar, so I'd say the way I receive feedback is probably quite similar to how you would want to receive your feedback.
Yeah.
But what I'm interested in is when you're coaching on your intermediate course for example, you've got 10 people, 10 different personalities. How are you delivering? How are you being individual to these people? And how are you breaking that down for yourself to do that? Because I would never. That's a big worry of mine. That's why I wouldn't want to do that. Is because you've got to deal with all these different people and empathise with each one.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, so for me, it's noticing. It's just like noticing within that first initial meeting, noticing those personalities.
Yeah.
Who's upfront and sort of forthcoming with what they want from the course, because we always do a bit of a question and answer to start with. Who's not? Who's slithering like into the background? Who can you see is a little bit nervous? And then it's managing that relationship in that first session in particular. You know the people that are going to just get in and get on with it by speaking to them. I can pick them out. I'm like, you're going to be kamikaze. You're going to just, I'm going to have trouble with you going out the back on the first session. But then you know the ones that are just dropping those little hints as you're going down to the water, like, oh, are you okay? Where are you from? Just opening that conversation, you know. We're only going to be in waist deep water to start the sessions. Just dropping those little things in so they just get a bit more confident, and then by the time they hit the water, they've at least got that armory to kind of go, right, I'm safe. I feel safe. My coach has done what he needs to do. You know, obviously thinking that, but it's sort of that automatic response of fear has gone. Yeah. Like they're in control of their actions and they feel like they're in a safe environment.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
What about people that use humour as a defence? Got two of them over here.
I usually just ignore them.
You got two of them over here. I think both of us do that. Quick bit of humour in there. No one's going to ask you any personal questions. Move along.
Well, you know, we all obviously had a surf today, which was mega fun. I had a great session. And I wondered if we were your clientele and you were coaching, and bear in mind that was the first time we had met, what would the sort of advice be, or what were the pickups? And be honest about it, Pete. What were the pickups that you had in the water with us two? What would you, if you were then thinking, right, I'm going to work with these two, what was your sort of thought process?
Well, in a technical or in a psychological?
Technical and psychological. So forget the surf bit, because there's no help there. That's done.
I coach you in exactly the same way as I'm speaking to you right now. Like there'd be no difference. It wouldn't be. It'd be pretty easy going, pretty relaxed, laid back. But hopefully, like, if say I called you back in and we went through some analysis on video or whatever, you would engage, and it'd be small engagements of like 5 minutes. Because I know that you like chatting, you like having a laugh, you good big personalities. But then there's also part of me that would be like, we need to get something out of this. You've just given me money to coach you, so we're going to get something out of this 5 minutes. But just managing in increments. Yeah. Maybe you're not going to stand there for 20 minutes like Logan would and detail and draw like, you know, angles of where he could be taken off for his hairs.
I'd be gone after 5 and that.
Exactly that. So it's knowing you like just
out,
from meeting you today.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes. You know, like back in school when you got that kid that just can't sit still and wants to do something after 5 minutes.
Don't know what you're talking about. There's no way I've completely got undiagnosed ADHD. There's no way at all.
And Logan, what do you get from it? Have you had that kind of the counselling side before as a surfer?
It's with Mike more. Like just our chats that we have, you know, and like I do find it pretty helpful, because like a lot of downfalls when you get to like a certain level, everyone's quite similar, and it is just how you're feeling in that 20 minutes as to how you'll perform. So rather than some people's goals would be, I want to go and have a good surf, I want to be able to trim, whereas mine is a lot more like, I need to perform in this 20 minutes. The whole build up to my whole week before affects that, my mindset before, have I got things going on? So for me, like having someone like Mike, like he's been to contests with me, and like having almost like a soundboard from a competitive side to bounce off, which Mike is for me. That's the biggest thing I take away. So just someone who's like asking me how I'm feeling, getting me to focus when he can tell I'm drifting off. So someone who can read you quite well. And that's what I value from that side.
I ask you a question on that. So like when I go into the water to surf, like if I've got anything on my mind, as soon as I'm in the water, it all disappears. Like it's just gone completely, and I'm just in the moment. So that's completely different for you. You're always thinking about, while you're in the water, you're always thinking about what you can do better, what you can improve on, what you need to be doing.
Yeah, and the more like I'm getting aware of like my mind, like today actually, I was actually thinking it in our surf. I had quite a busy mind while we were surfing. I wasn't quite focused on like, well, normally I'd have like a very specific focus, but we were all surfing together. the Drake album was coming out.
Oh, there it is. Boom.
But, you know, I just had other thoughts that I was kind of aware of, and that kind of practice of like mindfulness. I do try and do it a bit, and just acknowledge that I'm thinking of other stuff, and then try and bring my focus back to what I'm doing. But what I found was I used to go surfing, and all I think about, and you probably have this, like all I would think about was just surfing. But now I find when I'm in the surf, like, my mind does drift sometimes. When I'm on a wave, that's all you're thinking about is on that wave.
Yeah.
But I do find sometimes I will sit at the back and just think of other stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well, I suppose it doesn't matter because 90% of the time out there, you're on a fucking wave. I say like these two. So I said like you can tell the difference. Like I'd say Mitch says he's an average surfer. I'd say he's quite good, and I'd say Logan's a fucking brilliant surfer. The difference, both of them getting on the same wave.
Well, you did snake me.
Mitch's paddle was, I'd say, 90% more paddling than Logan put in to get on the same wave.
Yeah.
And I said that is a major difference. And then as soon as they're up, like I said, you can see he sets himself before he starts doing anything. He's like setting like, so I'd say like some surfers up and they're trying to do something straight away. They're like trying to turn before they're even properly up or something like that. But watching him surf, he's like set himself and he's not moved out of that position before. It looks more or less like if I was in your head, I'd say it looked like you'd go, right, I'm set. What am I going to do? What's the wave doing? And then you've planned the route that you're going to take.
yeah.
As it's coming, like where is in my head, as soon as I'm up on a wave, I'm like, what do I want to do? Do I want to cross step? Do I want to bottom turn? Do I want to top turn? What should I do? Nothing, too late. Bang, like that.
Yeah.
Where it looks as, by looking at you and the way you surfed, it looked like you're sort of you're moving with the wave, not against the wave, and your movements are doing what the wave is doing, not what you want to do.
Well, essentially, you're searching for the bit of the wave to do whatever you know that wave will allow you to do, whereas I'm just like, fuck, I need to try and do something because I'm on my feet.
Yeah.
I think it's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that is actually, like, whilst it looks like a physical thing, it looks like I'm paddling less than Mitch, or I'm a bit more relaxed on the wave. It's actually, and I don't know what you would think about this, and what you see with people learning, and at different stages in their, like, surfing, but that's all mental. It's just being relaxed. I've been in that moment before.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, and whether you'd agree, you can tell me, that's the biggest barrier, is getting people comfortable in a position they've been in before. They're not worried about their pop-up because they've done it before and they're going down that wave. Is that the biggest
Well,
hurdle you find?
that was sort of leading on to the next question was going to be that, like, so seeing that and seeing a difference in, like, obviously your new group and then coaching someone like Logan.
Yeah.
How do you put that in, into place with that, those barriers that he had would be different to the barriers that I have.
Yeah.
The barriers
well, if we use that same wave as an example, so we were on that same wave, and we could talk all day and
That's
say
my fault as well. Sorry.
we could say it was a positioning error, but actually it's not. Well, I've got no doubt you'll read waves a lot better than me. Like, I can still read a wave, but the thing that I am aware of in my own ability is that I can't take off when it's steeper because of my pop-up. So whilst that might be the right place for most surfers, I need it to be a bit of a softer sort of slope and takeoff so I can get to my feet. So yeah, that means I'm going to miss more waves. But the psychology clearly changes. And also, for you, you're just thinking about what you're going to do in the wave, I would imagine. Whereas for me, probably 90% of the work is just getting to my feet in the first place. And anything else after that's a bonus. So it's just that different needs and wants, I guess, as the surfer.
I think it comes back to psychology as well. This is completely anecdotal. I've not done any research or read any studies. There probably aren't studies on it. But surfing is one of those things where your automatic reactions take over a lot of the time. When you're a beginner into an intermediate especially.
Yeah.
So when you get beginners and they pop up on a board for the first time, the first thing they do is stand up straight. Second thing they do is put their arms out like this. What do you do when you slip? You slip. You do that. So the brain is like, you're on an unstable surface, you're going to fall, put your hands out. That's the worst thing you can do because your hands need to be over the rails. Your chest needs to be facing the direction you want to go. So coming back to that point of Logan is in that stage of his surfing where everything is controlled. Yeah. His brain is comfortable in being in a barrel. His brain is comfortable in hitting the lip on a 6-foot wave.
Fucking prick.
So he's got that muscle mind body connection, whereas a beginner and intermediate hasn't yet. So a beginner on their pop up, that mind brain-body connection is not
Yeah.
there. And as an intermediate doing a cutback for the first time, you stand up straight, you wobble, you fall off.
Right.
So those automatic reactions, when you're in the water, the more you can get in the water, like we talk about training on land, training in the water. If you're not in the water, you're not improving as a surfer.
Yeah.
You can't go in the gym and then expect to be able to do a top turn in 3 weeks. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
You've got to be in the water. But for me, the importance of being in the water is down to that brain-body connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my theory.
Yeah.
It's not...
Logan would
just
agree,
makes
but it'd be
sense to me.
brain, body, Drake connection.
I've never
Yeah.
seen anyone so excited for a new album to drop.
On
Yeah.
that thing then, so we're lucky, aren't we? We live in South Wales, we get to surf all the time.
Yeah.
Scotland, Western Supermare don't have as much access. What can people do to improve their brain-body connection? Because I've got a few things that I do, but what would you say, like, what's the best things people can do if they're sitting in Bristol going, well, I can't surf every day, so how do I...
Yeah. Putting yourself in those positions. So I'm not saying like you need to, get towels out and get balance boards and all this sort of stuff. But if you skate, if you've got a carver, like putting yourself in those positions where you're pumping, you're in control of your arms, you're in control of your compression, your extension. Just repetitive movements. It's like the gym. Like if you're first time doing a clean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit disjointed and the hips don't come quite fully through, you don't fully extend, you don't get under the bar, whatever it might be, and you do it for 3 weeks in a row, and all of a sudden it's like, you show the video from day 1, you show the video from week 3, and it's a completely different movement.
So like visualization then?
Yeah, visualization. Pretty sure there is some research on visualization as well, actually,
Yeah.
where you can, I think it's been taken out of context in a lot of ways.
Right.
But they did some studies on visualization of finger strength, and the strength in people's fingers increased just through visualization.
I've seen that, yeah.
But that's now been taken out of context, and people have said on podcasts, quite kind of highly educated people, that you can increase muscle mass by just visualizing it. So
There was
I'm not saying that. I'm saying out there, I'm not saying that.
there was a study, wasn't there, that the what was the study? I'm sure it was that if you visualize doing the exercises, and they took 2 groups of people. One group didn't do the exercises. One group visualized them doing the exercises,
Yeah.
and when they came to doing it, the group that had visualized themselves doing the exercises could lift more weight than the people who hadn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables that go into these studies as well. I mean, what have they eaten before they train? So there's loads of stuff, but
Yeah.
there seems to be some sort of benefit to visualization drills.
Yeah.
But I would say doing it is like the main thing. If you can do the visualization, but then get on a carver,
Yeah.
great.
So
you do
that's great, but a carver's not going to help me longboard.
No, true. Go and see another coach, mate. I don't know about longboard.
Well, you don't need a surf coach.
I'll stay in my lane, but yeah. You've seen me trying to cross them.
Do you know what's interesting about that visualization thing? Having 2 groups that would... One group they for 2 weeks, whatever the time period is, they have to visualize, and the other group they can't visualize. If you've been told for 2 weeks you can't visualize doing this thing we're about to test, surely all you're going to do, how can you stop yourself visualizing it?
Sure, they'll probably do it by not telling the other groups anything about visualization or not.
Then so what am I doing for the next 2 weeks?
just eating and sleeping
Okay.
and doing normal
That's
life
an odd one.
stuff. Yeah.
But then, like, seeking out coaching is now way more accepted.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing for those people who are living in Bristol, if you can go and have a really productive session with a coach once every 2 weeks, it's probably better than surfing every single day and not getting in,
Yeah.
all the time. So I'm guessing just like focused practice is like an
Yeah.
important thing. Like I get that's what you must see. When
Yeah.
you're doing that.
And seeing yourself on video, always warn people. It's humbling. Because you think you're doing certain things. in the
totally, yeah,
water.
it's
We're all
horrible.
guilty of it. Even to his level,
It's like
and
my
you're
15
I didn't
seconds
realise I
on
was
the
doing
ball.
that, Yeah, it is humbling, but if you can just get used to it,
Yeah.
it's massively,
Well, the problem
impactful.
is, I think, when you see yourself
Some
for that...
people like seeing themselves too much on video.
Yeah, Logan. All he's doing is getting his phone out all day, making TikToks.
They're comfortable
Bloody
now,
youth.
on his podcast.
No, but the problem is, and this is a good example. We've got a WSL event on behind us, or behind you too. I'm just
Yeah.
watching it. But when you see yourself surfing on a video, like subconsciously, all you've ever seen when you've watched surfing is properly good surfing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, exactly. So suddenly when you see it on film, you kind of, I guess, at a subconscious level, expect to see that.
Yeah,
And then
the
it's like,
default.
in your head, you're like, oh my, I've done so many turns. And then you see back and you just went right. And nothing
Yeah.
happened. You're
Exactly.
like,
I always
what?
find like longboard where you put the GoPro on the front of the longboard because you're always going to me. You got to get footage. Like that. So I've got the GoPro on the front, and I'm like, it just looks like I'm always going straight.
Yeah.
It just looks like I go straight, and like even like sometimes I know that wave. I was going down the line. It just looks like I'm going straight, and it just does your head in.
It's your expectation though.
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about it when my surfing, and like we spoke about it the other day.
Mm.
When you go in with an expectation, you always have a shit surf, don't you? When
Yeah.
you go in expecting to practice something, it never happens. So it's like managing that expectation and then coming out the water and going, how big did I think those waves were? Or
Yeah.
how big was my turn? You know,
Yeah.
just like understanding that it's like a process and not
For
taking it
sure.
apart.
So a good friend of mine, in front of the show, Seba, runs a surf skate academy, Uruguayan, incredible surfer. I remember, he's always giving me feedback, and he mentioned about don't go in the water, don't have an expectation, don't set a goal, because I always have a goal. He said, just catch a wave and go with it and see what happens. And honestly, I don't think it's not that I surf better, but I surf free, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh my God, I need to try and do a turn or something immediately. It was just like, enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And if something presents itself down the line, then fucking hit it, smash it.
I think often around here as well, talk to the improver stuff we do down at Puthcall Surf School, and around here having that realistic goal, so the specific goal for that session for those conditions. So today, like my goal today is do one turn
Yeah.
because the conditions were pretty poor.
Yeah.
Try and build a bit of speed, try and do a turn. Fell on every end section today, just one of those days. But if I went in there and said, right, I'm going to do a cut back into trying to hit in a lip, into a finishing turn, it's just not going to happen for me. Logan could set that goal today, but for me, it's not going to happen. For an improver going in 5 foot onshore rest bay, what are you working on? Pop-up speed.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get out the back. You're going
Yeah.
to smash the smithereens. You're not going to ride across the wave unless you're very lucky and get a little peeler on the inside. So pop-up speed, speed of movement, head up, hips low. That's your goal for the session.
Yeah.
You know? So it just depends on the conditions, and it depends what you set yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you set yourself the wrong goals for the wrong conditions, then you're just going to come out disillusioned and frustrated.
For sure. And to be fair, you probably would have got that sequence completed if on both the better waves that came through for you, I wasn't just paddling back in front of you from my waves. And I was like, I saw you, we made eye contact, I was like, please pull off. Or you're literally going to chop me in 3.
And you deal with the nutrition side of it as well, don't you? As well, is that part of the program?
Yeah, it's just part of adapt coaching, but it's my wife that actually takes that part on. She's just studying her master's now in nutrition.
Yeah.
But she's done her other qualifications, she did a degree, and I always forget it's such a long name, her degree.
I thought you were going to say her name.
It was
Such a long name.
Jenna, definitely. Wifey, yeah.
And obviously we take the nutrition so seriously. Where did we go for lunch straight after a surf or breakfast?
Literally a restaurant called the Greedy Pig.
And Logan, you had what?
Yeah, like eggs.
Yeah, there was definitely eggs in there.
Yeah, but so yeah, she takes on that side of things. I got some quals in nutrition, but I'm not a nutritionist. You know, I just do it I've always been into nutrition probably from first going to the gym when I was 18.
So what would you say, because we always get asked, people always asking good places, like good things to eat after surfs or before surfs. We get that question so many times.
So for me, like, you just don't want a heavy meal before you, especially fats and proteins. Fats and proteins are a lot harder to break down. They don't store as well in the body. So your kind of high carbohydrate foods would be a lot better. Some simple carbohydrates, maybe some oats an hour before with some raisins, some blueberries, and then after like a banana, and then have your your higher sort of protein and fats then after. Carb, protein, and some veg afterwards, and then later on have your fats. And,
right, then.
And kind of.
It's pump it in rest bay.
Yeah.
About to go in is you're gonna have a 3-hour surf. Exactly what are you eating before, and what are you eating after? Give me what are you doing?
Give me timings.
It's a morning start.
Okay, so
Morning start.
I fast in the morning, so I don't eat anything until after my surf. So I didn't eat until after the surf this morning.
Yeah.
I just find
Is that when you came out with that dustbin of food?
yeah. My first meal was like 1,200 calories. Or
Oh, that
whatever.
was that big box of sugar puffs you had.
I didn't, Jen, honestly. So I'll tell you exactly what I eat like day to day because it's exactly the same apart from an evening meal. So I get up in the morning, surf or train, and after that then I'll have my oats, blueberries, raisins, bit of protein powder. Following that I'll have 4 eggs, kale, avocado, tomatoes.
Okay.
Then my lunch will be some pecans and macadamias with some quark, and then a meal. So it'll be usually something like chicken, some sweet potato, a bit of veg or whatever. And then my evening meal will be the lunches, and then next day is from the evening night before. So my wife cooks that. So it's usually like a protein source, some sort of high GI, low GI carbohydrate, and then some veg.
And there's a bit of a mindset issue, certainly in the UK, when it comes to healthy eating, because I think the problem is we refer to somebody that eats healthy as, oh, you're on a diet. Whereas actually that's such the wrong mindset, because it's that kind of suggests that the shitty fast foods are the normal thing to eat, whereas kind of what you're suggesting should be more normal, and it's not. Well, he's following a fad because you're doing that. It's not. You're not on a diet.
No,
you're eating healthy.
Just eating well, eating healthy.
And some people think it's far too expensive to eat healthy. As well, don't they? I'm sure we had a conversation about this earlier. And,
well, I think though a lot of people would listen. That would be their go-to thing.
For
if
sure,
they would say, and I still 100%. think
100%.
that until maybe I'll pay attention a little bit more. So maybe explain why you say it's not expensive to.
Yeah, like we had a quick chat earlier about it. You know, you go to Tesco or the supermarkets that are available, but you go to
like Morrison's, for example, or
Sainsbury's.
not Waitrose, or you posh twat.
If you go to Lidl, you could also get yourself a stand-up paddleboard
for £3.
They sink. But yeah, so you go. So veg is not expensive, right? Like let's get that out of the way straight away. And avocados, you could say like. Obviously, we can have the people now who go, oh, you eat avocados, they're from California and all that. But they're there. The supermarkets import them, like, they're there. Fruit is not expensive. Like, especially, we find in my steak, if you go to your local fruit and veg store, it's a lot cheaper as well. Take your own bag, like, fill it up with that.
Yeah.
And then we'll usually get our meat from the abattoir in my steak, so where I'm from, probably like 30, 40 quid a week on kind of the protein sources.
Okay.
And our shop, so our weekly shop for two of us is usually between 120, 130 quid, and that's every single meal, every day. So for us, that's £60 each.
Yeah,
it's not a lot of money to feed two people. If you obviously 4 people, and I eat like 3,500 calories. Jen, and my wife, she eats quite well as well. She trains and likes to look after herself. So, you know, I would say that's a reasonable budget. Probably on the low side, really, when you think about it. But we would talk like a bag of nuts. People go up there and they go, oh, pecans, they're like £5.50 for a bag. But then you look at the density of the calories and the fats in them. You only have to have 20 grams to kind of hit goodness knows how many calories.
I think people look at that, though, will look at like a bag of pecans, like a bag of crisps.
Yeah.
And go like, do you know what?
You're right.
And go like, well, I'm going to eat them like, because I'm eating nuts, I'm going to eat it like I eat a bag of crisps.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever tried eating a bag of nuts like you eat a bag of crisps. It doesn't hurt. You lose teeth very quickly like that. Oh, what was that? Was that tough or a nut?
But then you start educating people on what you can add those to. So they you just add those to, like, say, some Greek yogurt, some blueberries, a couple of raisins in there. Some pecans. You got a meal.
Yeah.
Like, you got a really healthy, good snack. Put a banana on top. Boom. There's your kind of post-workout or post.
Bit custard, some sugar.
No, leave that there.
And that's the thing, the meals don't sound actually that complicated, which is, again, we spoke about this earlier, but I always found if I was trying to cook stuff from cookbooks that I had to climb a Himalayan mountain in the dark, like to find, you know, a bit of saffron that had been blessed by a Tibetan monk. Like, come on, like, what, can I not just buy this in Aldi? It's just no. So that's what the way we try and work is make it as simple as possible. Educate people in a way that they can not understand, because that sounds patronising, but in the way that they can implement it. Yeah. Not go, oh, this cookbook's great. And then, like you said, you've got a pantry list of these spices. They don't even sell in my steak. You have to go to Cardiff and get them. And that's a serious point. You know, you go to some supermarkets in cities and you've got all this stuff available. I worked up in London during COVID, and it's like, wow. Like, what, you can get anything you want. You live in a town up in the valley,
you got your Tesco basic stuff, and Tesco and Bridgender's got way more stuff. You know,
Yeah,
they
right.
just send all the stuff that they can't sell.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like that,
Yeah.
but then it's about
Get
just
Logan to
working
pick
with
it
that.
up on his way to
Oh, yeah.
training. We should also mention that fact in earlier.
Yes.
They said Logan's answer to it. Oh, this healthy eating's easy. Well, my mum cooks my meals for me, but this is easy.
Well, she's told me it's easy. 'Cause, the way that Jenna, Mike's wife, laid it out is pretty nice, and like having it simple. Like for me, the simpler the better. That's with my training plan. That's with the nutrition. Like for me to log it as well. It's just like set meals that like my mum knows she can make. I know
Yeah.
I can just log super easy. And like when I do have to cook, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It is actually more simple than I thought. Because when Mike first suggested like looking at my nutrition, which was a big point because
Yeah.
he was watching me in the surf school eat biscuits after surf.
Giving them the eyes.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you know the thing? The funny thing about it is, like, I think we all, because you don't act like a younger, don't act like a younger kid. You act like someone who's a lot older, and I think that's why it's so funny when you said like, oh yeah, my mum cooks it for me and everything. I'm like, yeah, but you're like 40. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. But like, I'd say it'd be simple for anyone. It's the next step to buying microwave meals is the way Jen has laid it out for me, and any tweaks I want, it's just into the app. So I'd say there is definitely a value. I always knew there's a value in getting a workout plan, but I wasn't quite sure about the nutrition plan. It's made all the difference.
Has it made a massive difference to you? Has it made a big difference to your surfing?
Probably, but my energy levels throughout the day.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how many dips and troughs and peaks I was going throughout the day until I started eating properly, cutting out the snacks.
Right.
Almost, I kind of don't really snack anymore. I just have that extra meal, so I'll make my own. I actually make my oats in the morning.
Oh, well done.
Well
Logan.
done, well
After
done,
he
mate.
finishes colouring.
How fucking proud he looked at himself.
After
So
he,
you put oats in a bowl basically and put water or milk with it or whatever you have with it.
does that after he does his colouring in with the crayons. So.
My dad's the same. We all get before, but yeah. So just adding that extra meal, it just keeps me at a steady pace. It allows me to perform, lets me surf twice a day, and then go to the gym. So
Yeah.
it's more, maybe I'm not feeling like I'm doing my top doing way better, but my day is improved. My alertness throughout the day.
Can you feel like you can stay in the surf longer, or you could go in more times?
Yeah, just like my energy levels, I'm not dragging myself in for a surf. I'm not dragging myself to the gym and like feeling tired. I'm at a consistent level throughout the day, and waking up in the morning is almost like become a lot easier because I'm not waking up hungry and things like that. So it was very tailored to me. I'm probably a little bit different in terms of I need to hit a calorie target. I lose weight quite easily, so like maintaining my weight is quite like an important part for me, which is nice. But also a challenge because I was just not eating enough, So
Eating's a funny one. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I can't remember if we spoke about this in the show before or not, but I think it was during Storm Arwen. I went and done a survival course when I was still in the army, and I only done it because it was in Newquay and I could surf. It's the only reason I done it. Genuinely true. But for the week, you could only eat what you found and killed apart, and then you've got like your sort of aircrew rations, which is just like a little tin of boiled sweets, and that's it. And you got like 24 of them, and I'd worked out like I could have like X amount a day for so long, and it took me like 3 days before I even remembered I had them. I was like, I've not even had them, and I'm one of them, probably like a lot of people who, I don't know, just be walking past the kitchen, go in the kitchen, open the fridge. Why? I'm not hungry. And I kind of realised that week, and it's good to get a realisation of what you do. And I think I'm only in the fridge for something to do. I'm not even hungry.
Yeah.
So for about a month after that, I kind of, because I was so aware, I stopped just going to the fridge or the cupboard because it was something to do. And I'm like, I'm not hungry. I became super aware, and then that moved on back to normal quite quick. But that's probably quite a big factor for people, don't they? They're not snacking because you're hungry. It's almost that
Habit.
Yeah.
I also think with what interesting, I was thinking then, like I know a lot of people that have said like it's so difficult to like start the training or get into the training in the gym, and that's probably due to like what he was. Maybe people should think of like do the healthy eating first for a week or two or a month or whatever, and then start, because you'll have that energy, that more energy and everything like that. Because you like people often they'll try and change too many things at the same time and either fail at all of it. But whereas you've said with that training and eating, you were noticing your energy levels weren't dipping as much and stuff like that?
Like a tailored approach. Like I cannot stress how much not just going online and Googling something, because you'll find a diet that doesn't work for you. Like, I was surprised how little of a change I had to make in my diet. It was just cleaning up a couple, parts of my meals and adding a meal so I didn't snack.
Just one burger at McDonald's instead.
But so it's that, and then also like the training side. I think you don't have to train to get ripped. That's not what we're training for. That's not what you need to train for as a surfer.
It's easy to say when you're ripped, isn't it?
But like people look at the gym, they go, "Oh, it's just for bodybuilding." Whereas like I train with Mike, and most of my training is mobility to help me move better. And you feel, I don't leave the gym feeling battered every time. I leave the gym feeling good, like I can go for a surf. So it's those preconceived, notions that I'm sure that's what people think. Isn't it?
For sure. There's a couple of things like to point out about what we've all said, really. Like when you're saying about the training, you don't train to get ripped, but if you train to be healthy, you'll be lean.
Yeah.
If you train to get lean, you're not necessarily going to be healthy, because you can restrict your calories to 1,000 a day.
Yeah.
And you get lean, but you ain't going to be healthy. If you train to be healthy,
looking good,
and your diet's good, you become lean anyway.
Yeah.
So it is that mindset, and it takes coaching, I think, to get to that mindset.
Yeah.
And it takes experience.
Yeah.
I was a gym goer from my stage, wanted to get lean, wanted big biceps, as a rugby player, I just wanted to be big and powerful.
Yeah.
And then I was like, right, that's gone. So let's reassess. Let's work towards longevity, moving as well as I can for as long as I can. And I'm probably in better shape now than I was when I was 27. I finished playing rugby. Yeah. Because of that mindset of just train to be healthy, don't train to be lean.
And I've been able to see that. Like, I've been fortunate enough, we've all trained with Alan before. Yeah. And, somebody who, I've always been around fitness. I've been in the army for 22 years. I had been in the army for 22 years. And not that was by any way, shape, tailored to surfing or anything. But, just doing fitness is fitness, right? Yeah. So I'd always think of myself as super fit, more running, carrying weight, that sort of stuff, and just that sort of mule, be able to keep going on. But I always struggled with my surf fitness. I started training with Alan. Surf fitness was amazing, but then I stopped doing the normal sort of training I would do for being a soldier. But we spoke about it earlier. Like, I didn't run for 6 months, and I got into this psychological thing of, oh shit, if I don't run sub 7 minute miles, I don't want to go for a run. It took me 6 months to go for a run. I had done no running, ran the fastest run I'd ever done, and I wasn't obviously training. I'd done no CV with Alan. It was all surf strength coach training, but that additional effect, that secondary effect, like, improved all of that so much. So to get that insight, and it just goes to show, doing the right training, it does benefit everything, specific to some stuff, but it does benefit everything. Yeah. And it's devastating looking back and being like, that's where I was, and now it's where I'm at. It's the worst thing.
I might try running then, because I haven't run for 6 years. I'm like breaking a 4-minute mile. But what would you say then, like, for surf training, if people want, say people out there, I know we've got a lot of people listening that can't get to the beach all the time, or it's too far to get to the ocean, or the waves not an option for them because it's too expensive, or they can't get there. What is some sort of maybe home things people can do to improve and help their surf strength, their paddle strength, for when they get back in the water?
So it's a tough one to just kind of generalize the whole population in that, but for me, so I'll just give an example on how I train Logan. Obviously, his movement patterns are very, very good. He's got a gymnastics background when he was younger, mixed martial arts. So he moves really well. So I can program quite high intensity, quite difficult movements. But my philosophy is just work on a squat, a hinge, a pull-up, a pull, and a push to start off with, and a lunge. So you got 5 movements and integrate those in. And they can be bodyweight movements. Yeah. So you can look at reverse lunges, push-ups, pull-ups, a good morning, so you're hinging from the hips. Those basic movements, wherever you're going to do them, whether it be at home, in the gym, put those in there. Secondary to that is high intensity conditioning, and then your zone 2 conditioning. Try and get those 2 sessions in a week. So high intensity is max. Yeah. So you're looking at interval training, but not, when we say max, a lot of people think they work a max like 3 or 4 times a week. Logan will tell you a max interval on an assault bike, you can't breathe. Like, it's 10 seconds of absolute out. So your body's getting used to just getting rid of that lactic. You're doing the conditioning, there's sort of aerobic conditioning around that. That system is then complementing the other system. So I won't go into technical details about that, but I think that's the biggest change you found in. He's always lifted, but the conditioning side of things has sort of benefited you. So
yeah, and I enjoy it. Like I definitely enjoy. I was just like, I know my strengths. I know I'm pretty fast and explosive. I used to hate conditioning. I was like, I hated running. Didn't like any sort of like cardio, but yeah, and obviously that's thanks to the way you programmed. You know what I'm like and you know what I like. But yeah, that's the biggest difference is enjoying the conditioning, doing it and it being a regular thing. In program,
But none of that's been able to help Logan want to go left.
no,
I did notice that today. I was like, oh, there's a banging left coming. Why is Logan sat still?
I feel like I didn't fully answer your question there with regards to like anybody at home. But for me, like the biggest thing is don't look at Instagram. Don't just scroll through Instagram because we're guilty, I think, as a society. I'm going to speak from my perspective, sorry. I can't speak for everybody in society, but from my perspective...
Go on, you can.
Where's my stick?
Speak for the human race, Gandalf. Speak away.
For me, I've been guilty in the past of looking at something and wanting to be at the end point before doing the work to get there.
Right.
So it's like, and then not starting. Because you think, well, that's where I need to be. I'm not there, so I just won't start it. And I didn't know that at the time, but looking back when you're younger, when you're maybe not as mature. So for somebody who's sitting at home now, wants to just start to train because they come down every 4th weekend to surf. If you're not doing anything, go for a walk 3 times a week. Like, get out and do a 2 or 3 mile walk 3 times a week. And you will 100% start to feel better. Once you've got that in your routine... Maybe increase that to a jog. Maybe increase, if you like gyms, and not everybody does, get on a bike in the gym, just get yourself in there gradually. Don't think, I've seen this mobility program online where they do lateral lunges with a kettlebell over their head, and then they're doing trunk work where they rotate them with don't just ignore it all. Yeah. Because it takes a lot of practice and a lot of time, and I think sometimes we don't give these people the credit they deserve, that move like that. These people have been training for 20 odd years to get to that level, but then they put it on Instagram because they're not going to put the 10 years before where they're doing a push-up and struggling to get off the floor. They're going to put the most engaging content on there. And then
have you been on our Instagram page?
But do you get what I mean? And
I get it.
People can get caught up in all that, and then they're like, I don't even know where to start.
I actually think that was one of the amazing things that Alan was doing at the start, and I think it was one of the driving factors as to why he wanted to do what he was doing, was that very reason. It was, there's so many people out there giving this advice. You could call it unsolicited advice, but they're doing it publicly because they've got a platform. And if you don't know anything about training or the sport you're trying to train for, it's so easy to be impressioned by somebody that talks well or talks aggressively enough to be like, that sounds credible because they're saying it really loudly, but actually they might be talking utter crap to sell you a program or a product or whatever it is. It's easy to go down that route, isn't it? So it's nice that people are actually like, that's a bit rubbish, let's actually break this down, because I understand so much more through the training that we've done previously than I ever did, understanding things like the training you do doesn't have to replicate the sport, which I think is a bit of a common misconception as well. It doesn't have to. If it's cycling, you don't have to just be on a bike. Yes, that's one level of the training, but that's not all of it. There's so much better or stuff that can progress you more so. You kind of agree with it?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Like Logan said earlier, he trains in the gym. He doesn't come out there feeling absolutely blasted. He can go for a surf after. So it's 4, maybe 5 sessions a week if the surf's a bit flat. Yeah. But they're varied. And
how long are you in the gym for?
Hour, pretty much an hour.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah.
We kind of shortened down just because of my feedback. I was like, I don't want to be in there for 2 hours every time,
Yeah.
And I prefer them that way.
Yeah.
Some people love that time in the gym just to switch off. I just like going in, getting it done, and then
go
for an hour.
I can't stop thinking that I want to have a go on that bike where you can't breathe afterwards. It sounds appealing to me. I want to try that. I love that feeling. When you've done something, you've worked out or you've exercised so hard that you cannot breathe. I kind of like that. Maybe that's I kind of like when I go under the water and I just give up.
Yeah.
My brain's trying to tell me something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
My brain's like that. Do it.
I wanted to come back a little bit, just in regards to Logan's training, because we've obviously, me and you've spent quite a bit of time now in the water, chatting and stuff, and especially I've been with you at competitions as well. And one thing that I've picked up on, I think probably more than, and I hope you don't mind me saying, but more than any other surfers I've spent time with, competitive surfers, I think you get in your head more than other people that I've seen surfing competitively. I don't know if that's right, but if that is right, is that a hard thing to work round or help? If I'm assuming that's even the case. If it's not, just tell me to shut up.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, I think because I'm pretty like I'm on social media and like you know me pretty well. Like you definitely see that side of myself, but it's the biggest thing that all the boys when we go away, everyone struggles with those nerves. Or whatever it may be, a question in your equipment. You know, like literally, it's actually like the kind of hidden thing of most.
Self-belief.
Competitive. I'm not really sure where it comes from. Often it's like I know how hard I've worked for something.
Do you believe you're good enough to win?
Maybe not at that European level. I probably don't have that like full belief. Whereas I'm getting to the point where I go to British contests and I go, I'm here to win this contest, and I know I can do it. It's just me being on the right wave or whatever. But then sometimes, I probably do lack a little bit of self-belief.
See, because I think everyone that's seen you surf, maybe not in competitions, but seen you surf just when you're surfing, thinks, fucking hell, like you could do like anything in surfing. And I think we, like, around this table, I'm not going to... Actually, I'm going to speak for all of you. Around this table, I think shall not pass. I think that, like, we can all see it's that thing, you're good enough to do it. There's something that's holding you back. And, like, through conversations with you before, and you've said, like, you know, you start, like, thinking about things or overthinking what's going on and stuff like that. Like... When we've seen you surf, it's like, fucking hell, you can, like, this, the waves, the shit waves that were there today, like, when you're going away from me and I'm seeing the bottom of your board up above the wave more than the top of your head, there's something there that's like, Jesus, you know, like, he's good. And I think that's got to be down. It's got to be down to your own self-belief or something inside you. Yeah, let's lie on the couch. Come on, we can get this out now. We get it sorted.
No, I appreciate that, and like that means a lot, you know. But there is that, but there's also I'm against a lot of guys who are doing this. You know, I'm pretty sure they're doing just as hard work as I am. You know, I understand I work really hard. I surf a lot, but there's also I know it because my best mate does the exact same thing. He surfs just as much as me. He trains just as much as me, and like I know there's a lot of other guys out there who are working hard. So sometimes like I might feel in the best mindset, and we've all been there. We're in the ocean, and it just doesn't go your way. I probably do lack a little bit of self-belief at times, but sometimes I just like get in my own head, or you know, I just think I've done this hard work. Now I hope it pays off, or I don't want to fail because of everyone who's given me support, my sponsors and stuff. So that gets in my head for sure. And that's something I'm working on managing, but.
Did you?
What would you think, Mike?
The cameras are you like cut to that because as he's talking, me and Mike just went.
Well, before Mike answers that, I'm curious. When you free surf, do you free surf heats in your head, or do you separate the two? Or
I separate them. Personally. I separate them.
Do you
like in a heat, you're never. I very rarely am I thinking about my technique in heat. It's more heat strategy then.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
I'm often thinking I've got very specific things Mike knows, like that we're working on. So if I go in for a free surf, I look at the conditions, create an expectation, and go like the other day. It was to work on my flow. We had a couple of things with some airs that I've been trying, and that was really beneficial. And that just like those 2 sessions was really pretty good progress. Yeah. Whereas the heat, you've got different goals then.
Yeah.
I do separate them. I've heard other people they just go in every single surf and they think they're in a heat, but that's not who I am.
Okay.
I wouldn't perform. You can't surf every surf like a heat because that's
no.
What would a heat be then? What would you say?
I think we touched up on it in France, didn't we? Like in our first, you alluded. I can't remember exactly the sentence you said, but it was something about not letting people down. And I sort of just reflected it back to him. Oh, who, mate? Like who are you thinking about? And he's like, I said. You're here because you've worked hard to be here, and now it's your time to do what you want to do for yourself. If you don't want to do it for yourself, then like all good to you, go off and free surf and whatever.
Yeah.
But I know the kind of competitive character it is, but I also know that he holds. He got a big heart in a way, like he holds that personal. I want to like do well for my sponsor, to do well for this person, do well for that, and that's great. But as an athlete at that level, I didn't have that. I had that what you've got, but I let it take over. So I was in the squad in the Ospreys with like Alan Wynne and Ian Goff and all those, and Alan Wynne was an out and out competitive animal. In training, you'd hate him. Like you come out to training sessions and go, what a knob. Like, but he's one of the best players that's ever come through Wales.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be, you have the option to kind of outside of that competitive environment then, great guy, you know, chat, whatever. But within that environment, I think you have to be quite ruthless in a way to get to that level without, obviously keep the characteristics that Logan has got and being a great guy and all that sort of stuff. But it's also very different in surfing compared to a team sport. Yeah. Like when I went to France, the reason I went out to France to follow the comps this year was to gain that experience of, right, how does surfing at this level compare to a team sport that I've been involved in? Yeah. And it's like, it's worlds apart, you know, because it's an individual sport. But within that individual sport, you have pockets of teams, if that makes sense. Because you've got the British guys and you've got the Portuguese guys and the French guys, and they're all wanting each other to do well, whilst also competing for themselves against each other. I found that dynamic like pretty crazy to try and think about how to manage that. But then you've got the cost implications of if you travelled as a solo athlete, you're not going to stay in an Airbnb on your own for 6 weeks. Yeah. It costs you thousands and thousands and thousands of it's not possible. So there's things around that maybe like there's opportunities to work with, but that's just my own personal thoughts.
It's just something someone said to me years ago about a small town somewhere, and then it just popped into my head. Is it surfing the competitions like everyone wishes you well, just not better than they're doing?
Exactly that.
It does get like that, but like my mentality and my kind of like mantra is with the other boys, because we obviously all travel as a team, is that their success has no bearing whatsoever. How well they do has no, unless they're in heat with me. I'm not like buzzing for them to beat me in heat. But if they make a few more rounds than me, Pat, you know, he starts in a round ahead of me. So if I lose straight away, he's already done better. His success has absolutely no bearing on my performance or my achievement or anything to do with that. So just maturing and like trying to take a step back and understand why you're feeling certain feelings, and then it doesn't matter. You can be happy for someone else, and I hope that they would be happy for me. And we all kind of, I like to think, and we've had this discussion as all boys, because you can't travel with people for months on end and have these feelings built up. So we have discussed it, and I just make sure that I detach my own performance from other people's performances and just be totally happy for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't even at the contest. And then I try and focus on my own performances myself, and that's been an important thing. Otherwise, like I went away to Europe, you know, I had a couple of good contests before I left, and then I went to Europe, didn't make a heat, but I was still happy for my friends when, you know, no one did amazing, but when they were doing all right, I was buzzing for them, because I just understand that my bad performance or my good performance that I would hope to have isn't because they've made an extra heat than me or whatever. So I just try and really separate the two, and that's helped me a lot personally handle that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to stay in there competitively. I wouldn't be able to stay with those boys, because it does wind me up that I'm not making heats. I have to make it not about them. Does that make sense?
No, for sure.
I'm not suggesting for a minute like, you know, you shouldn't support them or anything like that, but it's a bit like the nutrition thing. So energy in, energy out, and it's the same psychologically. So if you're expending energy, say like there's a couple of boys in the heat before you or whatever, and I notice like the routine, which we're going to kind of tweak with now and try and develop like a routine before heats. Because if someone's in a heat just before you, there's almost that, it felt like to me there was that expectation from every other surfer to kind of just go and see how they're doing, and then you got a heat in like 25 minutes yourself, half an hour. So it's about maybe in that scenario being, right, this is my time now, energy needs to be on me. I can't afford to expend that energy on other people, because once that's gone, there's a trade-off to it. So yeah, we had a chat about that, didn't we?
I
when you
totally
come back.
agree.
So,
What do you think? I heard something from Ben Skinner, which I found really interesting, and actually, it was one of them realization moments, and I instantly agreed. And in any sport, a lot of competitive athletes will do what they can pre-heat comp, whatever it is they're doing, separate themselves from the world, from the noise and everything else. But Ben, they have headphones in, listening to music, getting in the zone. Ben just sits and watches the beach, watches people surfing, and actually, because he's in tune with the environment, he's not separating himself from the environment. And there's obviously a two-sided sort of knife edge thing there. I don't know what your thoughts are on either side of that.
Yeah, like speaking for Ben, like, because I went to the Euros, watched him win at the Euros, and like when I was, obviously I try and get as much information out of him.
For sure, yeah.
And he's almost like a confrontational competitor, so like he loves when he's behind in the heat and he has to get an 8. He performs his best when he needs to score, and that's why I was talking to him about he's just made the WSL finals.
Yeah.
He was like that. This setup is perfect for me because I perform best under pressure.
Yeah, right.
That's why he loves to be in the moment. He loves to have all those experiences, and I think everyone's different, aren't they?
Yeah, no, totally.
But that's how I've watched Ben be at contests. I admire it because it's pretty cool to, in the face of pressure, he rises to it. Whereas some people don't.
No, absolutely.
Just managing like what your brain does.
Maybe you should try riding the same boards as he does.
Do you have a longboard?
I had to go with my dad's the other day.
Did you?
I can like.
Can we just say how cool your dad is actually?
How cool he is.
Yeah.
He is pretty cool.
He's got back into longboarding, hasn't he?
He was never into it, but he's found the love for it. And
Nice.
now he's bought 2 longboards in the space of like 2 months. He's in Saudi Arabia right now with work, and he's just bought a longboard from there.
Nice.
Does your mum know he's bought 2 longboards in 2 months?
She does know.
we're in his van. Keep him in there, look.
And it's talking about back to, I guess, surfing. I think you're a well-travelled surfer. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say done a few trips now, and
That's pretty good, isn't he?
yeah, kind of like my mindset, I alluded to it earlier, is I need to be progressing and I want other people to progress. That's like, you talk about purpose, you can go into like Buddhism and kind of whatever, but I feel like if I'm progressing in something, but I'm seeing other people progress in the work that I do, that's me done. Like I'm happy with that kind of thing. But I am a competitive guy as well, so I do want to progress as a surfer and have over the last 5 years. I would say it's come on quite a bit. Yeah, still not where I want to be. But yeah, I've done a few trips, like been to Bali, been out to Morocco, been to Ireland quite a few times. Always down Cornwall with it in the van, and I haven't done Scotland yet.
I mean, that's some van to be travelling about in as well.
Pretty
bit of a weapon.
That, to be fair.
Until Logan obviously gets in it and throws his wetsuits off the windows and
on the floor and
sand everywhere.
On that point, can I say, with someone who moans about someone putting admin in their van, well, you've been in my van. I've never had so much admin in my van in my life. Not only that, you drop your fucking cannolis or whatever they're called.
Why does he not know what a cannoli is?
Cannoli,
He keeps calling it a granoli.
A cannoli, whatever it is, and it's gone down. It's now stuck in between the window and the bottom bit of the van at the front of the dashboard, just where you can't get to it. So now every time I turn the fan or heater on, it just smells like cinnamon everywhere.
Who doesn't want that?
That's fine for about
your
a
van
month
smell
until
better.
it goes stale and starts stinking like mould every time I turn it
Cannolis don't
on.
go stale.
Admin everywhere. There's literally just stuff all over the place in that van now.
Yeah, but that's how your van was before I got in it.
Spotless.
Yeah, whatever. His van, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically Abdul's van, and it's got bullet holes in the back doors, but they've not been shot up from the outside. They've been shot up from the inside from someone trying to get out. I swear to God.
It's a good van. It's great. Toyota Hiace never broke down. 100 and something thousand miles on the clock.
Happy with that. It
Still
works.
going.
So gets him round. It got him here, didn't it?
Yeah. So
It's not a man, though.
one of the things we often ask people when they come on is best wave they've ever surfed, or best time in the surf.
It's got to be Easky in Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for best time and best surf, best wave.
Yeah.
What was the best time about it?
I just love Ireland, mate. Like my grandfather's Irish, God bless him, passed away like I don't know how long ago, quite like within a year. He's from Clifton, Connemara, so the west coast of Ireland.
Yeah.
So we've gone out there since little Dutch. My dad used to say, "Do you want to go abroad?" No, I want to go to Ireland. Every summer, I just Ireland. So it's a magical place for me anyway.
Yeah.
And then we did a trip, me and my wife and the dog, in the van over Easter 2 years ago now. Or it'll be 2 years this Easter. Everything about the trip was just magical.
Yeah.
It was like going to the cliffs of Moher and like walk around, and my wife had tears in her eyes. It's just a gem of it. I can't. You'll probably see it on my face as I'm explaining.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the place. And then I had a couple of days in East Ski. We travelled all the way up to Donegal, and it was like 4 foot, clean as a whistle. Surfed the left in the morning, and then surfed the right with like 4 local guys. And I didn't know. I got family around that area as well, and ended up having a pint of Guinness with one of the guys who was in the day. It was just one of those surfs where you look around, and I just come out from having a herniated disc in my back, so it was like magical that I was back on the board properly surfing again. And I just looked around and thought, like, I'm blessed to be in this position on this wave right now. My wife up there with the dog just chilling out.
Yeah.
Just magical. Yeah.
And what about, let's
I was
flip
going to
it.
say, if that worst wipeout isn't a herniated disc story, I don't even tell it.
What about the worst experience or worst wipeout?
Worst wipeout was I'll pick 2.
Yeah.
So Welsh one, Aberafon as a kid, big Aberafon, and it gets pretty like hectic in there. I don't know when it's big, and it holds you down a little bit. So yeah, the proper get back on the beach, breathe on your board, look back at the surf, I go home. But my worst one was actually in Dreamlands of all places in Bali. I spoke to you about it earlier. Like just on wasn't a massive day, like pretty big, but Dreamlands is kind of a deep reef. It's where people go if they don't want to deal with the coral reefs and busy crowds, a massive swell of Uluwatu. It was a big day in Uluwatu, so we sort of went down the coast a little bit. Just took off, fell, sort of misplaced my front foot, penciled in down the reef, and my leash wrapped around both my legs. I was really deep. And so I went to sort of kick my legs out in like a breaststroke action, and they just didn't come apart. So I was just like stuck like a pencil trying to get back to the surface, because it was a place I didn't really know. I was like, shit, is there another one coming? Luckily there wasn't another set coming over the top, because I think I would have been in a bit of bother otherwise. And that was like get a wave in, breathe on the beach kind of thing. But apart from that, touch wood, I cut my arm open in Uluwatu, but that was just a little. I haven't had too many.
No.
Really bad.
I suppose at your height it has to be crazy deep water that you can't just
can't just push off the bottom and get back up.
And what about you, Logan? Have any of yours changed? Best waves, worst wipeout sort of stuff since whatever it was you told us?
I've actually, I did a boat trip earlier this year, which was like the best trip I've ever done. I had, everyone has an expectation for a boat trip. It's like that is the bucket list trip for all surfers.
Yeah.
And thanks to the guide, we had Luke Cromwell, he was guiding as a Welsh boy. It's guided in the Mentawais for like 12 years. It was better than a brochure, you know. The trip couldn't have gone any better. The group of boys I went on, I jumped last
the group of boys you went on.
It was awesome. Like literally, we had a load of magical sessions. But there's one session, and I got it on film. Got some really good shots from it.
Yes.
But just magic. Just a couple of magic sessions. Wipeouts tonight. I don't know. I don't really have any.
I don't think you wipe out. I genuinely don't think you do.
Not like this guy just walking out chest deep in Maverick still like that. What's this all about?
You had a funny one the other day in Fresh when your foot slipped and it looked like a sniper from the MOD. You just tucked it.
What's the one you had the other day? Was you run your shin down the board or something? You showed that. You can send us that video. We'll
same session that Mike's talking about. Yeah, I'll send you the video.
Oh, was that the one you used chewing gum to fix the ding on the front of your reel? I've got that. Don't you worry.
Just like that seems stuff like that happens all the time when you're trying to progress. You fall off, don't you? But I seem to fall off and whack my board every time. So,
what's that one up there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was session. Yeah, the other day, just like a super mellow left-hander. It wasn't big. and I don't know, my board flipped over, and I saw a crease in the bottom. I thought, this is not good.
Mm.
Mike was way up the point, so I was like, can't even wave him. 2 ways later, foot straight through the board. Walking over a load of boulders to go back to the van.
You don't like to see it, do you?
But you know what, actually, I had kind of a bad injury similar to Mike's, but mine was different cause. My lower back went last year, kind of this time last year, and I literally couldn't wipe my ass for 4 days. In Morocco with Mike, I couldn't surf, and that was a massive wake up call of
yeah.
fuck now, you better take care of your body now, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has had their back go, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone, you know. A bad back's
Oh, it's a nightmare.
you struggled with yours when yours went bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to
How,
how you got better, but I remember watching you and thinking, I'd never seen you in a state like that.
Nah.
And the way your mental side goes as well.
Yeah, for sure. Nah.
it's a
not
testament to your level of coaching for Logan that you also wiped his arse for him for that, that period. Well, Mike,
it stinks. That's what I'm calling it.
It's funny, we speak to loads of, I don't know, you boys had bad backs before?
I've had a bad back since 2005, yeah.
One problem, I know, you said that yours is got a proper root cause.
Yeah.
You have a lot of surfers who have bad backs. And we literally spoke to a guy the other day, didn't we? And
Yeah.
it's funny how you can get better.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Some people think it's, and I understand with yours.
Yeah.
Yours is a lot fucking different to most people's.
Yeah.
It was just a bad back with surfing. There is a way to fix and prevent it. You fucking brute, you're 6'6", you know, your back's
Yeah.
too long as it is.
I tell you what, if you want
Yeah.
a bad back, walk a longboard up that walk at Rosilli. Jesus Christ! I got to the top. I was literally Ian Beale. I was like, I got nothing left.
I suppose you don't need to pop up. You could just sit up. Have the same amount of body as I do on a board.
Kneeboard.
With the training and stuff like that, do you offer that to? Is that general public offering to?
Yeah.
And what sort of things you do and offer then?
So just strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
So it sounds basic, but obviously a lot goes into planning for individuals.
So that is individual one-on-ones,
one-on-ones, programmed online. So if they're further afield, they can be done over video, and then they use an app to. The sessions are all sent to them, with the nutrition.
Okay.
And where do people find you, and where's that up to?
ADPT_coaching.
I was going to say, where to's that at?
On Instagram, and then adptcoaching.co.uk on the web if you want to find out a little bit more about us. But
It's not just for process, is it? You have
anybody.
for not,
Anybody that wants to surf,
Yeah, okay.
anybody that wants to get better in any sport, you have a lot of people who are quite ambitious to get into Premiership rugby, but they're not at that level where they get coaching. So
Yeah.
anybody that wants to perform, and be careful how I phrase it, but the people I don't like to coach are the people that just want to lose a stone for a wedding, or they got that really kind of minimal goal of I want to do this and then I don't care. I want to work with people who have an ambition to perform a little bit better than what they are. Don't have to be pros, don't have to want to get to the pro level, but have a mindset where they're willing to sort of not buy in with me, but learn from me and from what we do, and then they can take that knowledge and just be better for the rest of their lives. So it's longevity. I want people to get enough from it, something
for sure.
from it.
And Logan, I noticed on your broken board up here a new sticker on there.
Yeah, Escape Watersports, that's where we are now. There is a Portable Surf one as well. The surf shop that I work in as well, so hop in and...
That's on the back.
But where we are now, this awesome showroom in Pyle. Just, literally, you boys had a tour of the warehouse, what's it like?
It's insane. There's not enough shopping trolleys for me to raid this.
I was going to say I've never seen something so big in piles, but
there's a lot in there.
There's a lot in those piles.
And what is Escape Watersports for anyone listening?
So it's a paddle sports and surf retailer. I've worked from before COVID, and then had a little break, and I've come back as a surf category manager. Gus and Claire, the owners, brilliant people. I'm just sort of developing more and more of the surf brand here. We're going to stock 4th surfboards behind us when they arrive next Friday. So big shout out to Luke for allowing us to become the retailer and with us for those.
Nice.
So it's going in a really exciting direction, and this has literally been done for you.
To be fair, it looks amazing. It might be one of the nicest setups we've filmed with, I think.
The last week, I sort of been on the pin gun and the tools and
dangerous.
Oh, got the Solite boots, the sea skins, you got the wetsuits, you got everything going on here.
Yeah.
Got your life sorted, haven't you? They got their life sorted in Wales. They just speak a bit funny.
We've also got the foosball table behind, which I came back to beat whatever. It's a hollow victory.
These are pretty cool show. Like between this, the surf school, the shop, like South Porthole, YG's been around today. It's got everything pretty much.
Yeah.
Apart from the sun. That's the only thing.
Well, I can relate to that.
Well, the only other thing to say is if you had to pick a surf coach at the Porthcawl Surf Centre and it was got to be Logan or Emma, who would you pick?
Hugh. Because Hugh's a legend.
I think Hugh would get pissed off and drown you.
100%.
The first time Hugh's ever lost his rag with someone in the water and actually gone against everything that he believes in and just held you under just to shut you up.
I've got no doubt Hugh has never lost his rag in the water with somebody.
No, I don't think so.
No, you reckon? You've just been polite.
It's
got the look.
Nice to be a part of all this and it's passed down on our doorstep as well.
It is a great community actually you've got. It's nice. I've been here surf once before in Porthcawl, but didn't get to appreciate the community. And being here this week, it is absolutely...
Everyone's lovely, do you know. Like everyone's been really nice and welcoming. I don't know if it's just because we're doing like interviews and promoting some of their businesses and stuff like that, whatever it is. But like everyone's just been. We'll walk out or come back without mics and stuff. They'd be like, "Fuck off, boy."
Like, you see like the car park culture, you know, like in the car park, like, wherever you go, like everyone wants to chat. Everyone loves it here. You know, it's probably because we have it so few and far between.
Yeah.
People just love it, and that's what nice to be a part of.
So I said to Mitch about like it was like some of the Welsh stuff, and I was like, he was about like what we're talking about to this person about. I said, don't worry, we're in Wales. Just give them a microphone and let them go. It's been proved on more than one occasion.
True,
It's just like we just.
Yeah, you could say, yeah.
Literally 20 minutes. Introduce yourself. 20 minutes later, we were still just sat there, just going like, "Oh my god!"
He's a giver.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you've come and have a good time.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Mike. Thank you very much
Thanks for having me.
having us in here. And no, it's been great to hear a bit more different angle of this sort of stuff. And I look forward to working with you, which we'll be chatting about after. Absolutely. I need it. I tell you what, I need it.
I'd talk to you about that, but there's cake that needs me.
He sat there with a mince pie the whole time.
Do you know how hard it's been not to fucking eat that throughout this thing?
I thought you've been looking at your watch quite a lot.
I was like, come on, this is the signal.
Wrap it up now, mince pies are coming. It's that time of year.
Cheers, boys.
Thank you very much.
Human emotions and stuff like that, and kind of you're suddenly aware of like everything I'm doing with my face. You're like, oh, you're talking bullshit, or you're not, like that, or whatever. You're like, so you're throwing away the odd like, is what it is, Or
Might be that you got a fell on that popper. Happens like once in a blue moon. I was following the podcast quite religiously around that time. Yeah.
Till you came on.
Oh, thanks for that, Mike. Thanks for that, Logan, as well, being the guest host. It's really nice to have Logan back on the show.
Yeah, it's quite pleasant listening to it back, actually, and Logan's mic not being working properly. You could hardly hear him. It was brilliant.
Oh, it's such a fun thing to... Yeah, it's such a fun thing to get to, and you think, oh, this has gone really well, and then realise I didn't press record.
Yeah, no, I did press record. It was the microphone on that one. One of the wires we had a problem with, and because we travelled to them, didn't have another wire with us. Amateurs. So
Well, when you say us...
I say us, I say me. But yeah, that was brilliant. And that place with that Escape Water Sports.
Oh man, a massive, massive shout to Escape Water Sports, because you know a lot of people put us up, and a lot more people put up with us. I don't know why, I don't know how, but they do. And you know they went out of their way. They gave us a full site tour. Mike gave us a full site tour, introduced us to the whole team. And not only that, the thing I'm still blown away by even now recording this is the fact that they made UK Surf Show recording live sign for the front door. And I'm just like, that's super cool, man. Love that little touch.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the little
fantastic. And you know, a really nice place they've got set up there. You got about, I don't know, £20 million worth of clothes for 50 pence or whatever it was.
I certainly did.
Yeah, brilliant place. And I mean, you know, thanks to Logan for, well, firstly, introducing us to Mike, and secondly, for coming on and co-hosting. You know, that was brilliant. We may well see him again over these Welsh episodes. You know.
No, absolutely. And yeah, it was cool. And it was really nice I mean, we spent the day with Mike beforehand. We went for a surf, me, you, Mike, Logan. Pete just buzzed my drone round in a highly windy, and I think what was called or referred to by Wavelength Mag as the worst surf beach in the UK. But we had a great morning. Or I did.
It was
I
good
don't
fun.
think you did.
Yeah. That day I felt a bit seasick that day. It was a bit choppy and bumpy, wasn't it? And
It was very choppy. It was very bumpy, and it was funny. There
yeah,
was like no one in the water until we got in, and it just saw. Well, I wouldn't say it got really busy, but it got busy.
yeah. No, it did. It was good fun. And Mike does, Logan introduced us to Mike and he came on and was talking about his training that he does and everything like that, like we just went through. But if you want to find him on Instagram, it is ADPT_coaching. And that is Michael and Jenna Collins. And they do surf, strength and conditioning and nutrition. So they do all of it there. So they've got you well sorted if you go and check them out.
Yeah, it's the full shebang and super credible background as well. You know, Mike through rugby, and I still can't go over his 6'6". Mike is a mid-length. My mid-length is a 6'6". He's the same size as my middle length.
It's one of those things that people normally go to me like when I like meet him. Oh, you're tall, aren't you? And I'm like, fucking hell, man, you're tall, aren't you? To him, he's huge.
And I've
He's a
just stood
mountain
there
of a
like,
man.
I'm not
Yeah.
tall.
He's not like I live in the valleys. He's like I am the valleys. He's like massive. He's huge. He's like like Mitch says, it's the same size as Mitch's mid length. But what a lovely guy, and absolutely brilliant. Go and check him out on the Instagram and get in contact with him. I'm sure if you're in that area, or I think he even does remotely, they can help you out with your strength and conditioning and nutrition and everything to do with your surf fitness.
No, for sure. And it's really nice to see Mike and how he's progressed the athletes he's working with, just on I guess, a different level or on a different approach with some different things. And yeah, without going into that too much, it's just nice to see that there's people actually looking after our surfers.
Yeah.
This is a surf show. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's people getting looked after in all sorts of walks of life, but
Yeah.
we need to talk about surfing, and I just like to know that our performance athletes, as well as us average Joes and Josettes, are also able to get looked after should we want it.
Yeah. Do you know
So
what else we should
kudos.
mention as well? While we're talking about Wales, we
Mm.
should also mention the nice little UK surf show,
Willy warmers.
beanies, and they've
Oh
got
yeah,
little
sorry,
key
beanies and
rings.
key rings. Sorry.
It's not a willy warmer. Well, if that's for your willy, I feel
Well,
sorry.
no,
That's gay.
that one's on my head, and this
That's
head is
that's a little
roasting.
gear knob one there as well that goes on top of your gear stick in your van or your car. They're
I'm actually,
absolutely brilliant.
I'm almost gutted about that one because I'm buzzing that they sent a gear knob one, and
But it's not a Mitchell Tartan.
exactly. So I've got a Mitchell Tartan Gator in my van. So actually, that could go over the top though, couldn't it? Yeah, it could work. So a huge thanks. So while we were in Wales, and I think we've spoken about this before, I think on the show. I don't know if we have, but we were contacted by a company asking if we would like to receive some bobble hats. Now, I think famously we
We
do
love
like
a
a
bobble hat.
bobble hat. Pete,
Love a bobble hat.
love a bobble hat, and I like a bobble hat as well.
Do you know, Leighton actually sent me a message. Where's my bobble hat?
Oh, Special Case had the exact same. I think we spoke about that before. And the interesting thing, I'm going to name the company in a sec, and there's a reason why I'm stalling in naming it, is because Pete had said to me, and actually we had a conversation before we even started, and Pete tried to then go over the same thing again, and I told him to stop talking because I wanted to do this now. Because
Yeah.
what happened is Pete was like, this name's really complicated. Like, I don't know how to say it. And I was like, well, it can't be that bad. And because it was then in my head, the first time I looked at it, when the package arrived, I was like, oh, that's way too complicated. I'm not reading that. And then when I came on to do this, record this now, I looked at it without any thought and immediately realized it just says Oz Designs.
Yeah.
Pete, Oz Designs. I'm showing that to camera right now. Pete
Yeah.
was reading that as if it was Oz Disness is. And I was it's like, you've made me think it's complicated, and actually it's really straightforward, you old crusty,
complicated.
miserable bastard.
You're
So-
complicated. Well, I'm gonna. I may have to pull up the message and just say about it that Charlotte actually said she gets that a lot. People saying, "What is it? How do you say it?" So yeah, she's originally from Australia,
Obviously,
obviously
from
and
the
yeah,
name.
yeah. It's spelled OZDZYNE.
S.
S.
It
Yeah,
literally says Oz
Oz
Designs. Like
Designs. Yeah.
it's a
But I was
really
reading
cool
it as
logo.
Oz Disney's is.
I was
Anyway, regardless of the name and how difficult it is for some people,
you made it
especially if
difficult.
you've got mild or severe dyslexia, hi, it is. They're fantastic. They're absolute. They're so warm and like so.
Yep.
I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to take mine off a
They're
minute.
too warm to wear in my front room, even if it's 2 degrees outside. I wonder if it would go on here. I'm going to put it on my mic. Boom. Oh, that could work. There we go.
There
I
you
don't know
go,
what I can
model
see,
mine.
but it's on my mic. Boom.
Yeah, I
Now,
can see
boom.
that.
Oh, also,
Yeah.
did you spot
So
anything else that's
they're,
happened, Pete, in my world?
Yay.
Have you spotted anything else that's happened in my world?
Anything else
From
that's
staring at me right now?
happened? You had a haircut.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Oh.
So
No, not moving on. I was growing it long. I was growing it, is it Jesse from Yellowstone, cowboy hair? I was growing it Ben Lard. That was the plan. It was going to be down to here, shoulders, by end of Christmas or something. I don't know how long it takes, but I reckon 3 months was long to get there. So, for all the filming I do with work, all the filming we do, knowing that we were doing the Wales trip, I was like, no, I'm going to power through. I will happily have this stupid looking long grey hair on the sides whilst it's growing. And I got to, when I was away in London last week, and I just kept seeing photos of myself, and I realised because it's so tufty on the side while it's growing out, like it then loses the volume on top. It's just volume everywhere. Do you know who I look like?
Nobody cares, but go on.
Terry Wogan.
You do look like Terry Wogan.
It's like I like tufts coming out my ears and stuff, so I've had to get it cut.
That's just
And now I realise.
We'll talk more about your haircut on the Buy Me Coffee.
No, everyone wants to know.
Yeah, everyone would love to know. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. And join us next time. I think we've got one more Scotland one left, maybe, and we'll see if that comes out. And we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks. Don't forget, head over to Buy Me Coffee and listen to our ramblings on stuff we don't talk about on here. Cheers.
Well done.
Don't forget to head over to Srface Wetsuits, use the discount code UKSurfShow23, and that will get you 10% off anything you order from Srface.
And also, the dry robe link's coming. There's an application process, right? And it's been done. We've just not received the link. So once we get the dry robe link, you will receive that, and you can use that.
Yeah, and also don't forget to head over to Oz Designs on Instagram and check out these UK Surf Show hats. I'm sure you can order one in these colours, no problem at all.
Oz Designs.
Oz Designs.